I'll pay you 500,000 naira to deliver one trunk.
500,000 for one delivery? Yes.
But there's one rule.
Whatever you hear, do not open that trunk.
Daniel was a hardworking young driver who lived in a crowded neighborhood on the outskirts of Lagos. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't looking for shortcuts. He simply wasn't making enough money. Every morning, he would wake before sunrise, start his old dark green Toyota Corolla and spend the entire day carrying passengers from one part of the city to another. But no matter how hard he worked, the money disappeared almost as quickly as it came. One evening, Daniel parked beside a roadside shop and counted the money in his wallet. It wasn't enough. He sighed. He had rent to pay. His car needed repairs. And there was barely enough money left for food. Just as he was about to start the car, his phone rang. Hello. A man's voice came from the other end. I was told you are a reliable driver. Daniel sat up. Yes, sir. I am. I have a job for you. Daniel listened carefully. I need a trunk delivered from Lagos to another city. Daniel nodded even though the caller couldn't see him. All right, sir. How much is the payment? There was a short silence. Then the man said, 500,000 naira. Daniel almost dropped his phone. 500,000. Yes. Daniel immediately became suspicious. Nobody paid that much money for a simple delivery. What exactly am I carrying? The man answered calmly. You don't need to know. Daniel frowned. Then the man gave him an address. Come tomorrow afternoon. Daniel hesitated. Who am I meeting? My name is Mr. Okoro. Then the call ended. The following afternoon, Daniel drove to the address. It was a large compound hidden behind tall walls in a quiet part of the city. Mr. Okoro was waiting for him. He was an older man with a grey beard and a serious expression. After greeting Daniel, he led him into a storage room. And that's when Daniel saw it. A huge black metal trunk sat alone on the floor. It was old, heavy, covered in scratches. Two large brass locks held the lid firmly shut. Daniel stared at it. What is inside? Mr. Okoro looked at him. You don't need to know. Daniel laughed nervously. Sir, it's just a question. Mr. Okoro stepped closer. Your job is to deliver it. Then he said something that made Daniel uncomfortable. Whatever happens, do not open that trunk. Daniel looked at him. Why? Mr. Okoro's face became completely serious. Because I am telling you not to. Daniel didn't like the answer. But then Mr. Okoro handed him an envelope. Daniel opened it. The first part of his payment was inside. His eyes widened. He needed the money badly. So he agreed. The trunk was loaded into Daniel's car. It was so heavy that Daniel struggled to move it. Once it was inside, Mr. Okoro gave him the delivery address. 3 days. Daniel nodded. I understand. Mr. Okoro looked directly into his eyes. And remember the rule. Daniel sighed. I won't open it. He started the car and drove away. For the first few hours, everything was normal. Daniel listened to music as the city slowly disappeared behind him. He even smiled. 500,000 naira for one delivery. Maybe this was finally the opportunity he had been waiting for. But several hours later, something happened. Daniel heard a sound from the back of the car. He looked into the rearview mirror. Nothing. He continued driving. A few minutes later, another sound. Daniel's hands tightened around the steering wheel. He pulled over. He switched off the engine. Silence. He looked toward the back of the car. The trunk was still locked. Daniel remembered Mr. Okoro's warning. Don't open it. He started the engine again. This is just something moving inside, he told himself. And he continued driving. Night eventually fell. Daniel drove along a quiet highway with only his headlights illuminating the road ahead. Then suddenly, a knock. Daniel froze. His eyes widened. 3 deliberate knocks. Not the sound of something shifting. Not an accident. It sounded like someone was knocking from inside. Daniel's heart began racing. He slowly looked at the rearview mirror. The trunk was still there. Locked. Daniel swallowed. No. He reached for his phone. Before he could call anyone, the phone rang. It was Mr. Okoro. Daniel answered immediately. Sir. Mr. Okoro spoke calmly. Has the trunk made any noise? Daniel froze. How did you know? There was silence. Then Mr. Okoro said, whatever you hear, keep driving. Daniel's voice became angry. Sir, what exactly did you put in this thing? But the call ended. Daniel continued driving. He wanted to stop. He wanted to turn around. But he also knew how badly he needed the money. Eventually, he stopped at a small roadside fuel station. While the attendant filled his tank, Daniel stood outside the car. Then they both heard it. Another knock. The attendant looked toward Daniel. Was that your car? Daniel forced a smile. Yes. The attendant stared at him. I think something is inside. Daniel's face went pale. He walked toward the rear of the car. His hand moved toward the trunk handle. But he stopped. He remembered the warning. He pulled his hand away. No. He stepped backward. I'm not opening it. Daniel got back into the car and called Mr. Okoro. What did you put in that trunk? Mr. Okoro remained silent for several seconds. Then he answered. Something that must reach its destination. Daniel became furious. That's not an answer. But Mr. Okoro simply said. Keep driving. Hours later, Daniel reached a police checkpoint. An officer approached his window. Good evening. Where are you coming from? Lagos. Where are you going? Enugu. The officer shone his flashlight toward the back of the car. Then he noticed the trunk. What are you carrying? Daniel hesitated. A delivery. Open the trunk. Daniel's heart stopped. His hand slowly moved toward the trunk release. Then his phone vibrated. He looked at the screen. A message from Mr. Okoro appeared. Don't open it. Daniel pulled his hand away. He told the officer it was sealed equipment belonging to his employer. After several tense seconds, the officer finally waved him through. Daniel drove away. But he couldn't stop thinking about the message. How did Mr. Okoro know the police had asked him to open the trunk? The next morning, Daniel finally reached the destination. A mysterious man was waiting outside a large compound. Daniel parked the car. I'm here for the delivery. The man nodded. Bring the trunk. Together, they carried it inside. Daniel waited for his remaining payment. Then his phone buzzed. The money had arrived. Daniel smiled with relief. Finally, it was over. But just as he turned to leave, a knock. Daniel stopped. He looked at the trunk. Then he looked at the mysterious man. You heard that too. The man's face had changed. He no longer looked calm. Daniel stepped closer. What is inside that trunk? The man blocked him. You don't want to know. Daniel stared at him. Then why did you tell me to bring it? The man looked at the trunk. That trunk was supposed to remain buried. Daniel's blood ran cold. Buried? The man nodded. Yes. Daniel took a step backward. Then why did Mr. Okoro send me? The man looked at him. Because he needed someone who wouldn't ask questions. Daniel's phone suddenly rang. Mr. Okoro. Daniel answered. Why did you send me here? Mr. Okoro's voice was quiet. Because now you know too much. Daniel froze. He immediately ended the call. Then he ran toward his car. He started the engine and looked into the rearview mirror. The trunk was gone. Daniel turned around. Nothing. The rear compartment was empty. His breathing became heavy. Then he looked down. Something was lying on the passenger seat. A small red piece of cloth. The same red cloth that had been tied to the trunk handle. Daniel stared at it in horror. He whispered. I never opened that trunk. He slowly looked toward the compound. Then he looked back at the red cloth. So how did this get inside my car?